Not the coffin draped in the royal standard, not the imperial state crown resting on top of it, catching the light of Westminster Abbey for the last time. What stopped me was a 10-year-old girl in a black coat, standing very still, wearing a small diamond horseshoe brooch on her lapel. Princess Charlotte, and already wearing a piece of jewellery that had belonged to the Queen Mother. Elizabeth II had given her that brooch personally, chosen reportedly because of their shared love of horses. A great-grandmother pressing something small and sparkling into a child's hands. This is yours now. Here is the paradox at the heart of this story. One day, Charlotte's brother George will stand in Westminster Abbey and have St. Edward's crown lowered onto his head. He will hold the sovereign's sceptre. He will have access to the most spectacular collection of royal jewels on earth, and yet, there are pieces he will never be allowed to touch. Pieces that pass only through the hands of royal women. Pieces kept not in the Tower of London, but in jewellery boxes, passed in wills, given at weddings, pressed into the hands of daughters with a note that says, "For you, with love." Charlotte already has one of them. This is the story of what she will inherit and why it matters more than anything George will ever wear. 3 vaults, 3 rules. Before we can understand Charlotte's inheritance, we need to understand the framework that makes it possible, because not all royal jewels are equal, not even close. Think of it as 3 entirely separate categories, each governed by completely different rules. The first category is the crown jewels themselves, the coronation regalia, kept at the Tower of London, behind glass, under guard. More than 100 objects set with approximately 23,000 gemstones. These belong to no one person. They are held by the sovereign in right of the crown, meaning they pass automatically from monarch to monarch and cannot be bequeathed in a will, sold or given away. George will have access to them. He will wear them. But he will never own them. They are the state, made physical. The second category is subtler, and it was essentially invented by Queen Victoria. After a bitter legal dispute with her Hanoverian relatives over jewels they claimed were theirs, Victoria drew a line. She designated specific pieces as heirlooms of the crown, items owned in trust for the crown, to be worn by future queens and queen consorts, but never to be diverted to individual heirs. Her sapphire and diamond Albert brooch is the classic example. It has passed from Victoria through Alexandra, through Queen Mary, through the Queen Mother, to Elizabeth II, and is now available to the present Queen and future Queen consorts. These pieces follow the role, not the person. This is why you will see Queen Camilla wearing pieces once worn by Alexandra and Mary. They come with the position. And it is precisely why Princess Anne, however senior she may be, will never wear them. They are not hers to claim. They belong to the woman standing beside the king. The third category is the one that matters most for Charlotte. The sovereign's private collection, jewels acquired personally, inherited outside the heirlooms of the crown framework, received as private gifts. Elizabeth II is estimated to have owned more than 300 personal jewellery items, brooches, necklaces, earrings, rings, watches. These formed part of her private estate. Like any private estate, they could be freely bequeathed to children, grandchildren, or anyone she chose. Here is the distinction that drives everything that follows. Access is not the same as ownership. George will have access to the crown jewels. Charlotte may one day own her jewels outright. The difference between borrowing the most magnificent collection on earth and holding something small and real that was chosen for you, that is the engine of this entire story. The women who decided. 4 women, 4 decisions, each one a link in the chain that leads to a 10-year-old girl in a black coat. Queen Victoria was the architect of the whole system. After the Hanoverian dispute forced her to confront the question of what belonged to the crown and what belonged to her personally, she responded with characteristic thoroughness. She designated specific items as crown heirlooms. She bequeathed others directly to children and grandchildren. She gave a suite of emerald and diamond jewelry designed by Prince Albert to her daughter, Princess Louise, and that set subsequently moved out of the main royal line entirely to the Dukes of Fife. Victoria understood that the line between dynasty and daughter had to be drawn deliberately, or it would be drawn by lawyers. She drew it herself. Queen Alexandra took a different approach, and in some ways, a more human one. She died in 1925 without a formal will, but she had made careful annotations in a photographic inventory of her jewelry, identifying specific pieces for specific people. Queen Mary's diary entry for the Saturday after Alexandra's death is quietly devastating. At 11 to Sandringham, where Toria and Maud with George and me divided dear Mama's jewels, it was interesting, but sad. 4 people sitting together, dividing a life's worth of beauty, guided by a dead woman's handwritten notes in a photograph album. Some pieces went to daughters, some went to daughters-in-law, some went to Norway with Princess Maud, who had become queen of a newly independent country and needed jewels worthy of that role. Alexandra's collection didn't stay in one place. It scattered, deliberately, personally, according to her own wishes, even without a will to enforce them. Diana, Princess of Wales, was the most explicit of all. In addition to her main will, she wrote a letter of wishes asking that all her jewellery be allocated to the share held for her sons, so that their wives may, in due course, have it or use it. A mother, writing in the knowledge that she might not live to meet the women her sons would love, reaching forward through time to dress them. The sapphire engagement ring, originally chosen by Harry as his own keepsake after Diana's death, was later given by Harry to William so that it could become Catherine's engagement ring. That journey, from Diana's hand to Harry's grief to William's proposal, is one of the most emotionally charged transfers of jewellery in modern royal history. Diana's letter didn't name individuals. It named a category: the women who will love my sons. It was an act of extraordinary generosity toward people she would never meet. Elizabeth II was quieter about it. No dramatic letter of wishes, no annotated photograph album. But there is one documented gesture that tells you everything. The diamond horseshoe brooch, originally belonging to the Queen Mother, was given personally to Princess Charlotte, reportedly chosen because of their shared love of horses. Charlotte wore it at Elizabeth's state funeral. She wore it again at Trooping the Colour in 2025. It has become already her signature piece, a piece of jewellery that links her directly to her great-grandmother and her great-great-grandmother, worn on the lapel of a child who is still learning to read. 4 women, 4 different methods. One continuous thread. What George gets, what Charlotte gets. Let us be precise about this, because the contrast is sharper than most people realise. When George becomes king, he will inherit custodianship of the crown jewels. He will wear St. Edward's crown at his coronation, the same crown that has been used since the Restoration, set with over 400 precious stones. He will have the imperial state crown for state occasions, the sovereign's sceptre, the orb. He will stand at the centre of the most visually spectacular constitutional ceremony in the world. He will not own any of it. The crown jewels belong to the state. They are held in trust. George will be their custodian, as every monarch before him has been. But he cannot bequeath them, cannot give them to his children, cannot choose who wears them after him. They will pass to his successor automatically, as they always have. Charlotte's inheritance works entirely differently. The living template for what Charlotte's jewel story will look like is Princess Anne. Anne is Elizabeth II's only daughter, and the parallel to Charlotte, as the daughter of a future king, is almost exact. Anne appears to have inherited her mother's favourite 3-strand pearl necklace, originally a gift from George VI, worn by Elizabeth on an almost daily basis. Anne began wearing a necklace visually identical to her mother's signature pearls within weeks of the Queen's death. She has also inherited the meander tiara, originally from Princess Alice of Battenberg, given to Elizabeth II as a wedding gift, and the diamond festoon and aquamarine tiaras. These are understood to be her personal property. She has already lent the meander tiara to her daughter Zara, who wore it for her wedding in 2011. Anne owns her tiaras. She can lend them, she can bequeath them, she can give them to Zara on a Tuesday afternoon if she chooses. There is no constitutional process, no state approval required. They are hers. This is Charlotte's future, not the Tower of London. A jewellery box with a key she holds herself. The practical consensus among royal jewellery commentators is that Catherine's personal jewellery, the pieces she owns outright, as distinct from the pieces she wears on loan from the royal collection, will eventually form the core of what she passes to Charlotte. Pearl earrings and necklaces that are personal acquisitions, pieces from the Middleton family, gifts from William, feminine pieces in the natural course of things, flowing toward a daughter. And then there is the question of what William might choose to give her from the pieces he controls, including, potentially, something of Diana's. Diana's reach. This is where the story becomes genuinely complicated. Diana's letter of wishes directed her jewellery to her sons for their wives. In practice, several of her personal jewels have been allocated to Catherine and Meghan: the sapphire engagement ring, pearl and diamond earrings, bracelets, and at least one emerald choker. Charlotte watches her mother wear these pieces. She has grown up seeing Diana's jewels on Catherine's wrist, at Catherine's throat, on Catherine's hand. But Charlotte has no automatic claim to any of them. Diana's letter did not mention grandchildren. The structural effect of her wishes is that any of Diana's jewels still held by William are part of his personal estate, to be given or bequeathed as he sees fit. Charlotte's access to Diana's jewels is mediated entirely through her father's choices, not through any special female line provision, not through any legal entitlement. And then there is the Spencer tiara. The tiara Diana wore at her 1981 wedding does not belong to the Windsor family at all. It belongs to the Spencer Family Trust, held by the Earl Spencer. It has traditionally passed down the male line to the head of the family. Diana was allowed to borrow it as the Earl's daughter. Her sisters and more recently her nieces have worn it, but Diana never owned it. Some tabloid reports have claimed that William has asked for it to be reserved for Charlotte, or that there is some agreement between the royal family and the Spencers. These reports are based on unnamed sources and have not been corroborated by the Spencer family or by any authoritative jewellery historian. From a legal and historical standpoint, Charlotte has no automatic claim on the Spencer tiara. Any future loan for her wedding would be a matter of private agreement, not inheritance. Here is the emotional truth of Charlotte's relationship to Diana's legacy. She is powerfully connected to her grandmother in the public imagination. The resemblance, the name, the sense of continuation, and yet structurally separated from her most iconic pieces. Unless William chooses otherwise. That unless is everything. A father's choice, not a constitutional rule. The most personal kind of inheritance there is. The wedding tiara she'll wear and the one he won't. There is a tradition in the British royal family that is so consistent it has become almost a rite of passage. Royal women wear a tiara for the first time on their wedding day. Not at a coronation, not at a state banquet, at their wedding. The reigning monarch, or in earlier decades the Queen Mother, offers a choice from the vaults, occasionally gifting one outright, but more often making a long-term loan. Elizabeth II wore the fringe tiara for her own wedding in 1947. Catherine chose the Cartier halo tiara for her marriage to William in 2011, a piece originally bought by George VI for his wife and then given to Princess Elizabeth for her 18th birthday. Jewellery analyst Anna Byers has suggested that the Cartier Halo tiara is the most likely candidate for Charlotte's own first tiara, whether at 18 or on her wedding day, precisely because of its intimate association with her mother's bridal moment and its status as a relatively modest, youthful piece. A tiara that has already crowned one Princess of Wales, waiting to crown another. George will never have this moment. His crowning is constitutional, scheduled, ceremonial, governed by centuries of protocol. It will happen in Westminster Abbey with the Archbishop of Canterbury before the assembled representatives of the nation. It is magnificent, and it is not personal. Charlotte's first tiara will be chosen, by her, for a day that belongs to her alone. That is a different kind of crowning entirely. The quieter crown. We come back at the end to a small diamond horseshoe. The brooch began with the Queen Mother. It passed to Elizabeth II. Elizabeth gave it to Charlotte, personally, deliberately, because of horses, because of love, because she wanted a child to have something real. It is not a crown. It is not a sceptre. It has no constitutional significance whatsoever. It cannot open Parliament or command armies or represent the continuity of a 1,000-year monarchy. What it can do is be worn close to the heart by a 10-year-old girl at her great-grandmother's funeral, and again at Trooping the Colour, and perhaps one day at her own daughter's christening. George will carry the weight of the state on his head. The crown jewels are extraordinary, and they are not his. They belong to everyone, which means they belong to no one. Charlotte may one day own her jewels outright, a brooch from 4 generations of women, her mother's pearls, a tiara chosen for her wedding morning, pieces that were selected for her, given to her, that she can hold in her hands and pass on as she chooses. The quieter crown, the more intimate inheritance. That is the jewel George can never have. If this story moved you, if you found yourself thinking about the women in your own family who pressed something small and precious into your hands, I'd love to know in the comments. Which piece in Charlotte's story matters most to you? And if you want to keep exploring these royal histories, a like and a subscription means the world. It's how these stories find the people who need to hear them.